The way a heat-seeking missile works is by making small micro adjustments mid-air to keep it on track with the designated target that it's going towards. It's making adjustments based off of heat and temperature and altitude and speed and direction and coordinates. And so by making those in-the-moment mid-air adjustments, it's able to sort of guide itself to its target. And in the same way, in literally the same way, when you reach out to pick up your coffee cup, you're doing the same thing. What you did is you put in the prompt or the will of reach for the coffee cup or pick up the coffee cup. And so by doing that on a completely automatic subconscious level, you reach for the coffee cup and you coordinate your hand through the air. You pick it up, you know the muscles to use, the direction, you adjust accordingly to reach the goal that you have in mind. And when you were a baby, you were completely uncoordinated. You'd never picked up this or reached for that, or you couldn't tell how far away things were, and you were completely uncoordinated and imbalanced, and you didn't know how to coordinate the prompts that you put into your system of really just your desires, the goals that you had in mind. You think about trying to walk, you had never done that before, you reach for something, you don't know what it takes to get there. So even though you have the will to do it, you don't know how to get there on your own because you've never done it before. But see, the miraculous thing with our bodies and with our mind and psychology and every level of ourself is that when you put in the prompt, I'm going to keep using this word prompt, and you can think of that as the desire, the drive, the motivation to do something, your body in time learns how to get there. And it's not, you didn't teach yourself how to walk. Your body taught itself how to walk based upon you putting in the prompt to get your ass up and walk. You didn't teach yourself how to pick up the coffee cup. Your body taught itself how to pick up the coffee cup based off of you putting in the prompt or the desire to pick up the coffee cup. So what this suggests is that our body has a natural, automatic way of righting itself and being able to get itself to the goal that it has in mind. Where all you do is put in the input of the prompt of what you want to do. You want to pick something up, you want to walk, you want to do whatever it is, and we're going to get deeper into this here in a moment, of how this has directly to do with achieving anything you want to do in your life. You put in the prompt of, I want to do this, I want to go here, I want to become this, I want to do more of this or less of that, and then you let go. You let go. And there's more to the whole letting go thing that we're going to begin to talk about, but really what it is the most important factor for you here is having a direction, knowing what you want to get to. Now, this is exactly how it works when it comes to achieving things in our life. Let me frame it to you as a question. What if all you had to do in order to achieve the dreams in your life that you want to achieve was to know where you want to go, have a designated target just like a heat-seeking missile, and believe that it was possible, and trust that your body and your mind would carry out all the necessary operations on its own to get you there? All you have to do is feed in the prompt. Now see, it sounds simple, it sounds idealistic. All I have to do is just imagine where I want to be and then it'll just naturally happen. No, it's not as simple as that. Because what we do, because we have an ego that tries to control reality, we get in our own way. This right here is exactly why you're not where you want to be. Is because you're trying to get there through force and through effort and through might. But that's not how you learn to walk. That's not how you learn to become a basic standard human being. You learned how to do all those things by trusting, by letting go, by having a vision, and then allowing it to take place naturally. You didn't believe that you couldn't and all that kind of stuff. And what we do is we get in our way. We start putting in prompts that interfere with the target that we have in mind, where we disable the ability that our mind and body has naturally to naturally bring us to where we want to be, where we start feeding in all sorts of tension and stress and resistance and lack of belief, where if you want to be in a relationship, you start thinking of all the time you're gonna spend single, and what if it doesn't work out, and I'm not gonna be able to do it. And then when that person comes along, you start thinking, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not attractive enough, I'm not gonna word myself properly, I'm gonna make a fool of myself, and you start getting in your own way. And those are prompts. Those are prompts that your body responds to accordingly. You start you start veering off course. It's like if the heat-seeking missile, rather than seeking its target, started getting obsessed with something else that it saw. And in this case, what that is your insecurities, your lack of faith, your lack of belief in yourself, and your lack of trust in the natural course that your body and mind knows how to take to get to where you want to be. You think, there's a statement how when you're racing, you don't want to look at the wall, because where you look is where you end up going. I've even noticed it's not even in racing. I've just noticed this driving before. Like, I'm on the highway and I'm like looking at a tree coming or a car that's coming, and next thing I know, I'm like, oh, I kind of gotta readjust, because you naturally go towards where you're paying attention to. That's a literal, physical, scientific manifestation of how you go to where you're paying attention to. Where attention goes, energy flows. So if you want something and you have a goal, but all your attention and energy is being put into the doubt surrounding your ability to achieve said goal, you're not allowing yourself to naturally go towards it. You're literally pushing against it. You're pulling against it. Your body works. As you've seen, of the ability to learn and the ability to achieve things completely naturally without effort, this is direct evidence that you don't have to try to get to where you want to do. You have to have a vision. You have to input that prompt, that motivation, that desire you have, and then get out of the way and allow it to take place. Because all you have to do is have the direction. You have to have the goal, the vision. This is why goals are so important. And this is why people who don't have goals and don't have a vision or a passion feel so directionless, like they're just floating in outer space, because in a way, they are. They're not going anywhere. They have no direction. They have no objective. It's like shooting that missile off and it doesn't have a target. It's just going. And yeah, you're alive, and yeah, you're in the moment and stuff is happening, but for no reason. It's kind of a chaos. It's kind of a entropic experience of life where you're not directed, you're not guided. And the miraculous thing is that when you put in a goal, when you wire in a vision, a direction, all sorts of wonderful things start happening inside of you. You start going towards it. You start being magnetized towards that which you want to be magnetized towards. Now, what you want to be magnetized towards isn't necessarily the desire you have, but it's what you're putting your energy towards. And this is what's so important about the thoughts that fill our mind. Now, a lot of what I'm talking about right now comes directly from the teachings of Maxwell Maltz in his book, Psycho-Cybernetics. I'll share it real quickly that Maxwell was a plastic surgeon, and he started to realize that him changing people's faces didn't always correlate to a change in their perception of themselves. He started to realize that their perception of themselves was what was responsible for how they felt about themselves, rather than the physical appearance of their face. Because he would change somebody's face and they would be on top of the world. They'd think they're attractive now, and they'd go out and live the life they always wanted to live and achieve everything they ever wanted. And then other people, he would change their face or perform the surgery on them, and they would still feel inadequate. They would still feel unattractive. And he started to realize, oh, okay, so there's something deeper going on than just changing somebody's face. What it has to do with is the self-image, who you perceive yourself to be, what you think is possible for you, the way in which you're describing yourself, the way in which you see yourself, where sometimes the surgery correlated to a change in self-image, and the change in self-image was what was responsible for the change in their life. Whereas other times, the surgery did not create a change in self-image, so therefore, there was no change in their life because the self-image is what's responsible for why they even wanted the surgery in the first place. So if the self-image doesn't change, you could make them look like the objectively most beautiful person you've ever seen, but they're still gonna feel ugly because that's what their self-image is telling them. And he started to realize, he started to completely divert from being a plastic surgeon into the direction of like psychology and analysis of the mind, and realizing that what we're feeding into our minds is directly correlated to the life that we live. And he started to realize and do all these different routes of research in realizing that the prompts you're putting into your mind of I'm ugly, I'm ugly, I'm ugly, or I'm abundant and successful and I love my life and I can't wait to achieve this thing, so on and so forth, that's what guides the direction of your life. You go in the direction of what you're feeding your mind. Now, a lot of this may seem like it's making you out to be this mechanical, robotic thing, but see, as Maxwell Maltz himself said, you aren't the robot. You aren't the mechanical thing. Your mind and body function in that kind of way, but it's up to you to input the proper prompts and stimulus into that mechanical nature of your mind and body. Because that's how it works. We kind of work like a computer. Like, something that I notice so much is when I'm in a bad mood, if you ever see me in a bad mood, you can be guaranteed sure that I watched myself go into the bad mood. And what often results in the bad mood, what often triggers the bad mood for me is something happens on the outside, or I start thinking things, and that's really what does it right there. Whether I start thinking things or something happens on the outside, what it does is it triggers a sort of cascade of thinking, and it creates this oscillating effect of thinking and feeling and thinking and feeling, and I literally watch myself, my vibration go lower and lower and lower and lower. And I watch as what was at first an idea become a reality. What was first a negative thought become a negative experience. What was a negative thought becoming a negative mood. I watch myself go into it. And see, it's complicated. It's complicated because the mind is a very complicated thing where you can't just, oh, I'm gonna think positive because I'm going into a negative state. No, like, that's not how it works. If it was as simple as that, I think a lot of us would be happy all the time. You see? So it's a little bit more complicated. It has more to do with habit and impulse and routine of how you think, and also, as Maxwell suggests, self-image, who you see yourself to be. Watching YouTube videos on self-help is one thing, but working with someone who can offer you practical and advanced feedback tailored to you personally is a whole other thing. The most progress I've ever made in a particular area in my life was when I had someone working with me personally on that particular thing. So if you resonate with these videos and you have something going on that you think I could help you with, click the link in the pinned comment below to book a completely free discovery call on a date and time of your choice. We'll talk, get to know each other, and we'll see if it would be in both our best interest to work together in my coaching program in the future. I promise you it'll be worth your time. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you there. Okay, so I'm gonna share with you an example, okay? If you are walking in the woods, and you see a bear, and it looks like it's about to run at you, all of a sudden, all this stuff starts going off in your body. Adrenaline pours into your bloodstream, and you go into fight or flight, and every other organ in your body that doesn't have to do with running away shuts down. And you run faster than you've ever ran before. You have so much more stamina, and you're gone. But that bear wasn't a bear. It was just a stump that looked like a bear. So what does that tell you? Now, scientifically, we would describe that as, well, because there was a bear, it triggered all this stuff in your body. But it wasn't a bear. Your brain mistook the stump as a bear. It wasn't a bear. There was no actual, real evidence of a threat. You perceived the evidence of a threat, and so your body reacted and responded accordingly. Now, this shows us that the outside is not responsible for why you feel the way you do. You're responding to the outside in a particular way, and that's what's resulting in the feelings that you have right now. You're interpreting the information of the external world in a particular way that's resulting in the state that you feel. There's a numerous, potentially infinite array of ways to perceive a given situation. So if somebody leaves you and what you interpret from that, out of the multitude of perspectives that you could have taken from it, you interpret, I am unlovable and unworthy of love and I'll never find a partner. You embody that. That's your interpretation. That's not reality. That's your interpretation. And when you start feeding all this stuff into the system of your mind and body, your mind and body reacts accordingly. It responds to that. So anything that deviates from that prompt that you're perpetually pumping into your mind and body you're going to go back on course. You're going to adjust accordingly. You're going to push other people away. You're not going to notice the person that likes you. You're going to sift through all the evidence that goes against the prompts that you're putting into your system. And this is why it's so important to pay attention to what you're thinking. If you can sit there and, independent of the external circumstances, feel like a failure, why not practice sitting down and feeling successful? Because you can. Now, it might sound like, oh yeah, so much for that. It's easy for you to say, or it's easier said than done. Yes, that's true. But the reason it's easier said than done is because we base how we feel off of evidence of past experiences, and we think about it constantly. That's the only reason it's hard. That's the only reason it's easier said than done, because it's because we're addicted to thinking negatively. That is the only reason it's hard. And when you start to realize that, and when you start to practice thinking positively, when you start to envision where you want to be and feeling from the end, when you start feeling from the result of being where you want to be, dude, everything starts changing. Everything starts changing. You start, like, a lot of us get stuck in the how. A lot of us get stuck in, what should I say, or what should I do next? But think back to when you were learning how to walk. Did you bother yourself with those kind of thoughts? How do I move my foot? What should I do next? No, it's completely natural. You needn't worry about the how. All you have to do is input the what. All you have to do is input the goal, the prompt, the vision, the direction, and believe that you can do it, and believe that it's possible. And your body and mind will respond accordingly. You'll begin aiming yourself towards it. An example that I often use is how, I talked about this in a past video of, pray that you don't become a millionaire. Pray that you don't have $1 million before you become a millionaire. You see? Because there's a difference between having $1 million and being a millionaire. Being a millionaire is a self-image. Having $1 million is a physical experience. Now, If you don't see yourself being somebody who can sustain and multiply the $1 million, you're gonna lose it because you see yourself as somebody who's not a millionaire, but now you have $1 million, and because you act as a sort of goal-oriented, target-seeking system, you are going to make micro adjustments to bring you back on course with who you see yourself to be, the goals that you're putting into your mind. And the goal in this case is not a very productive one, being I'm not a millionaire. I have $1 million, but I'm not a millionaire, so I'm gonna spend it all. I'm gonna get rid of it. I'm gonna make stupid decisions with the money that bring me back on course with who I see myself to be. So what this comes down to is self-image and the goals that you're feeding into the system. I practice this a lot. When I sit down and I feel as if I am who I want to be, my frontal brain and mind does not know, my subconscious mind does not know the difference between what I'm feeding myself in the moment and something that's a reality. Doesn't know the difference. It responds the same way. So when I sit down and act and feel and think as though I am who I want to be and what I want to happen is happening, or better yet, has happened, all this profound energy begins to just be born within me. It's the same thing how when you ruminate on an argument or an embarrassing moment, we talk about like secondhand embarrassment or like cringing at something you did years ago. That's a direct example of how your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a past event, a future event, an imagined event that's never even happened, and reality, where what you imagine becomes your reality. This is kind of how like flashbacks in like traumatic situations acts, where all of a sudden you're there again because you invest yourself in totality into something that happened in the past that traumatized you. It's so emotionally charged, and all of a sudden you're there again. This is happening because we're envisioning a certain thing, and our subconscious mind is responding to that. But see, when you begin to practice envisioning yourself going in the direction you want to go in, rather than incessantly thinking about all the ways it's not going to work and all the ways it's not going to go in the direction you want, your life will begin to change course. You will naturally begin to change directions and go towards what you want. Remember, where attention goes, energy flows. So you want to start paying attention to what you want. You want to start putting in goals that you want to go towards. And trust me when I say your body and mind know how to get you there. Don't worry about the how. Don't worry about the how. Worry about where you want to be and trust that it can take place. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. And if you did, before you click off, leave a like on the video because it really helps these videos go far. And as I say, it helps these videos get recommended to people like you who may really need to hear this kind of stuff. And if this is your first time on the channel, consider subscribing because I post stuff like this every single week. It's what I love and it's what I do. So thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.